Great Northwoods to the Rock-On Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Today on Good Morning Maine, a child has been reunited with her family after a frantic search in the town of Jay. Plus, a special gathering in Augusta to honor fallen law enforcement officers. And Camp Capella is ready for another busy summer season thanks to some caring volunteers. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith and thank you for tuning in this morning. My colleague Craig Colson had to take a sick day today, but either way it looks like it's going to be a beautiful day today, pretty similar to yesterday, quite warm, so if you're going outside, pack your water and pack sunscreen because full sun all day. Let's get a look at that forecast with Devin Biggs.
Hey Emma, thank you very much. A nice quiet start this morning, and we'll stay quiet today with a good amount of sunshine, so get outside and enjoy things. There's a little bit of energy off toward the north that will not give us any issues. Some more energy off toward the south and west that will also not give us any issues. We will have some precipitation moving in later on this week, but in the short term, a lot of sunshine on the way for us throughout the daytime period today. Maybe some clouds, and yes, a little bit of fog on the way for us coming up later on tonight. Maybe some gusty winds today as well, reaching up to about 20 miles per hour at times today. Calming down gradually later on tonight and looking pretty good for tomorrow. Maybe a few gusts getting up to 20 miles per hour at times. So overall for today, mid-70s. Actually pretty nice, mostly sunny. A little breezy out there. That south wind, maybe a few areas getting up to about 25 miles per hour at times. Later on tonight, partly cloudy, some areas of dense fog with lows in the low 50s and a southwest wind backing off to about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then for tomorrow, lower 70s under a mostly cloudy sky and that south wind getting up to about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Your hourly forecast for the rest of the morning and afternoon period, absolutely beautiful with a lot of sunshine, temperatures warming into the 70s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Emma?
Devin will get a look at that full 5-day a little later on. First up this morning, a 2-year-old child has been reunited with her family thanks to a game warden and his trusty canine partner. Authorities were called to a home on Tripp Lane in Jay on Tuesday afternoon after the little girl vanished. The toddler and her mother were doing chores outside when the mom realized the child was missing around 11 a.m. Multiple agencies responded to help in the search. At around 1:15, Warden Jake Voter and his canine Coda located the girl in thick brush around 300 yards from the back of the house. She had some scrapes from walking in the woods, but was otherwise okay. She was quickly reunited with her very relieved family members, thanks to teamwork by everyone who responded to the call for help. Really sweet photo right there. Great work by those wardens. All right, in other news, a single vehicle crash in Eddington sent a driver to the hospital and killed 2 horses. According to Penobscot County Staff Sergeant Stephen Marco, dispatch received a call about a single vehicle crash on the main road in Eddington around 2 p.m. The pickup truck had a single male occupant and was hauling a horse trailer with 2 horses when police say it veered off the roadway. The trailer collided with a large tree, which caused the truck to detach and continue moving, resulting in further collisions with additional trees. 1 horse was killed during the crash and the other sustained injuries so severe it was put down by a veterinarian. The driver was transported to a local hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
Yeah, we still have to try to figure out what happened, but it doesn't, there aren't any skid marks that would indicate the driver was braking before the accident.
Traffic was reduced to 1 lane while responders investigated and cleared the scene. The crash remains under investigation. A person has been arrested in connection with a fire at a Bangor business. 30-year-old Carrie Smith, an unhoused individual from Bangor, is charged with arson. A spokesperson for the State Fire Marshal's office says just before midnight on Monday, the Bangor Fire Department was called to a reported building fire at Bangor Braces at 257 Harlow Street. They noticed suspicious circumstances surrounding the origin of the fire and requested assistance from the Fire Marshal's office. The spokesperson says an investigator from the State Fire Marshal's office determined the fire started on the outside of the building near the 2 trash cans before burning through to the interior. The fire was ruled arson and Smith was arrested. The spokesperson says the fire caused approximately $20,000 worth of damage. The building was unoccupied and no one was injured. The investigation is ongoing. Members of Maine law enforcement, state officials, and community members gathered in Augusta at the Maine Law Enforcement Officer Memorial on Tuesday. Those in attendance honored Maine law enforcement officers who died in the line of duty. Our Grace Blanchard shares more.
Maine law enforcement officers who made the ultimate sacrifice were honored in the 33rd annual observance at the Law Enforcement Officers Memorial.
It's a tough day, but it's also a great day to recognize that sacrifice and to remember why we do what we do.
This year, 2 more names were enshrined on the somber gray wall. Herbert Tarbox of the Falmouth Police Department and Richard Betters of the Portland Police Department, who both suffered heart attacks while trying to save others.
It's a big deal to have Rick go up on the wall today, somebody that I worked with, mentored me, friend, brother, crazy uncle, all those things were Rick Betters and then some. So it's a big day for a lot of us.
There are 90 names total engraved along the memorial wall, and each name was read aloud during Tuesday's ceremony.
Luke Gross, Hancock County Sheriff's Department.
Among those names is Charles Black, who was killed during a bank robbery over 60 years ago. His son has made it a tradition to attend this observance.
It's nice to know 61 years later that Dad is still remembered and all the names on that monument behind us are still remembered.
Members of law enforcement say events like this are vital to keep the fallen officers' memories alive.
I would love to have this entire place flooded with Maine residents and law enforcement officers because the 90 heroes on that wall deserve it.
In Augusta, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Penobscot Community Health Care and Seaport Community Health Center in Belfast are recruiting for a national study that will examine the effectiveness of 2 forms of a medication used in treating opioid use disorder in rural settings. Buprenorphine can be injected or put under a patient's tongue. The study aims to examine the drug's effectiveness in both forms and address the unique challenges faced by those dealing with opioid use disorder in rural settings, including the barriers they face that impact their ability to get the needed medication for treatment. To be eligible to participate in the study, you must be 18 years of age or older and in good general health, but you must have been diagnosed with opioid use disorder. You also must be willing to be randomly assigned one of the 2 forms of the medication to be studied. We have more information on our website, foxbangor.com. The City of Bangor has appointed a new city manager. Effective on June 16th of 2025, Carolyn Lear will serve in the role that most recently belonged to Debbie Laurie. Lear attended Roger Williams University School of Law and has served in various roles in state and federal government, most recently with the IRS. The Bangor City Council said her selection comes at the end of a rigorous search for the right candidate. They introduced her during a city council meeting.
For me, public service is undoubtedly an honor and a privilege. Today I'm feeling especially honored and especially privileged. So thank you very much. I very much look forward to doing the hard work with you.
Thank you. We're delighted to have you. See you in a few weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As part of her employment with the city, Lear will move from her current home in Dedham to Bangor in the next 2 years. Motorcycle enthusiasts gathered in Augusta yesterday to highlight the importance of motorcycle safety. The Governor's Tea with the United Bikers of Maine has become an annual tradition to kick off May as Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month. Members of the organization were joined by government partners such as the Secretary of State's office and the Department of Highway Safety. This year also marks 50 years of the United Bikers of Maine, and members say their mission has remained the same throughout the decades.
What organization's out there that's 50 years old anymore? There aren't many. When I was growing up, there was UBM, MAD, and DARE. So if you look at that, we're still going strong years later, and the motto hasn't changed. Granted, we've had to evolve, but we're still doing it, years and years and years later, and we're going to continue to do it.
According to officials from the Department of Highway Safety, Maine saw an increase in motorcycle fatalities from 2023 to 2024, and there has already been a motorcycle-related fatality this year. One of the leading causes of motorcycle crashes has been attributed to distracted drivers. State officials and bikers are reminding people to pay attention on the road and be mindful of those traveling on two wheels. It takes everybody looking out for them to be okay. All right, the time now is 8:10. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, health officials are warning Mainers to protect themselves against brown-tail moths. We'll hear how we can avoid getting that painful rash. But before we go, let's take another quick look at that forecast. What a beautiful day today, mostly sunny, highs in the mid-70s, and look at that too. We'll have a nice breeze to make sure we don't get too hot out there. It's a good day for water and sunscreen if you're outside. Dropping down to a low of 50 overnight, some fog will move in, some clouds will move in. For your Thursday, mostly cloudy, still nice and warm with a high of 72. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dave from PDQ Door. We pride ourselves on our honesty and integrity. We'll always give you the best garage door repairs at a real price. Had your doors installed by another company? That's okay. Our experienced team is available to service all brands and models. Visit us at pdqdoor.com.
Your favorite restaurants for half off. It's half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7. Go to foxbangor.com, click on half off dining, and start saving now.
Lakeshore Restaurant in Dexter is open for the season, featuring a wide selection of seafood, lobster, salads, sandwiches, and more. Plus, don't forget to save room for dessert. Dine in or take out at 16 Crockett Road in Dexter. Visit us today.
Great restaurants from all over Eastern Maine at half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7.
Hank's Husqvarna is your trusted full-line Husqvarna dealer, offering you everything you need for your outdoor projects. From high-performance lawn tractors and zero-turn mowers to chainsaws, trimmers, battery-powered and powerful snowblowers, we have just what you need. Every piece of equipment is fully set up, serviced, and ready for use by our certified Husqvarna technician. And all sales are backed by our in-house Husqvarna warranty. For parts, service, or new equipment sales, make your way to Hank's Husqvarna in Carmel or Newport.
There's a lot riding on your garage door. There's never a good time to get stuck in your garage. Hi, I'm Dave from PDQ Door. For emergency service and garage door maintenance, PDQ Door is here to help. Online at pdqdoor.com, where we sell the best and service the rest.
This is Alex Pillow, a conquistador of concrete from the start. Alex is so fast he does his taxes January 1st. He speed reads 2 novels before noon. He's Spanish, but he'll French kiss on the first date. Alex has traveled the world. Here are his favorite places: Portland, Detroit, Monterey, Portland again, and rent-free in 32 drivers' heads. This is the front of his car, but if you race him, you'll just see the back. This is 3-time IndyCar champ Alex Pillow. Welcome to the fastest racing on earth.
More Mainers could be employed in high-quality research and development jobs. A bus tour of life science leaders from across the state was in Bar Harbor yesterday to see what kind of research is being done at the Mount Desert Island Biological Lab and the Jackson Laboratory. They say they want to increase awareness and work in a more cohesive way to create more opportunities.
We study organisms in nature that have an amazing ability to repair and regenerate damage that happens as we age. And these organisms can regenerate every part of their body. They can regenerate their heart, they can regenerate their limbs, they can regenerate their brains. And so we're really interested in understanding how are they able to do that, and are there lessons that we can learn from studying these animals that we can then apply to human health.
The tour comes as Maine lawmakers prepare to vote on LD 1643. If passed, the bill would create a life science innovation center which would support and accelerate research and development partnerships. A camp that provides recreation and resources for people with disabilities and their families received help to open. Down East Horizon participants helped rake, clean, and prepare Camp Capella for their opening. Down East Horizon's executive director, Tony Zambrano, says it's an opportunity for those with disabilities to give back to others with disabilities.
And without Down East Horizons and Tony Zambrano, we would not be able to open camp every single year. This is so crucial. They bring so many people down here, and we have such a good time, don't we, guys?
Yeah! people like me with intellectual disabilities, this is like, this to us, this is like our happy place.
Volunteers celebrated their day of work with a barbecue and the hopes of an exciting summer ahead. The camp will open in June. It looks like they had a near perfect day for it too. That makes me very happy. All right, along a similar grain, if you're planning on doing any yard work, you might want to hear this. The Maine Center for Disease Control and Prevention is reminding Maine residents and visitors to take steps to protect yourself against brown-tail moth hairs. So that work that you saw folks from Down East Horizons doing in that last story, this is the type of work that could get you that type of rash. Brown-tail moth caterpillars are active as the weather warms up, and they shed tiny hairs that can be stirred up by raking, mowing, and other yard work. The hairs can land anywhere, and they can stay toxic for up to 3 years. For most people, they cause a poison ivy-like rash. For some people that get the hairs in their throat or lungs, they can cause trouble breathing, and it can become a serious health issue.
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. If you can prevent getting that really irritating rash in the first place, you're going to be much better off.
There are some tips to prevent exposure. The CDC suggests covering your face and any exposed skin by wearing long pants and long sleeves, as well as a mask. Do your yard work on damp days or water vegetation down before you start. Change your clothes when you're done and take a cool shower. They say do not hang your laundry outside where hairs can get on it. My mom is a gardener, and she said there's no sure fix, there's no sure way to make sure you don't get it. She wears a button-up shirt and gloves and also wears a hat, so you try to limit every bit of skin, exposed to it, but you could still get a little bit. So just still be really cautious out there. It's if you've had it, you know why people want to avoid it. Okay, the time now is 8:17, and after the break, we'll hear about intense rainfall to raging wildfires. Several areas of the nation are coping with severe weather, and we'll have an update about it right after the break.
If you have to ask why it's important to start your day early, here's your answer.
Wake up to a sausage McMuffin with egg for $3 and any size iced coffee for $1.29.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
You live in vacation land, right? Then get out and vacation, why don't you? And do it in style by renting an RV from Maine Campo Rentals. Fully furnished, fully insured, ready to roll out and explore. Or maybe you have relatives visiting you. Save your marriage, save the hotel expense, put them up in an affordable RV from Maine Campo Rentals. We'll deliver to Acadia and local campgrounds too. Call or visit online at mainecamporentals.com. Put away that cell phone and discover vacation land with Maine Campo Rentals in Brewer.
If you've been in an accident with a truck, making the wrong call can be costly. Evidence and witnesses can disappear. You need to stop that from happening. These are some of the most complicated cases for a law firm, but not if you call one that handles truck cases every day. Call a law firm with the resources, experience, and power to go after every dollar you deserve. If you're hurt in a truck accident, call Joe. The law offices of Joe Bornstein.
Tell them you mean business.
On the Road, broadcasting the news at 6, live from Belfast, is brought to you by Nautilus Seafood and Grill. Fresh local seafood, stunning waterfront views, and unforgettable flavors, delivering the ultimate coastal dining experience in Belfast. Stone Artisans, your main granite supplier, specializing in countertops, patios, benches, walkways, and more. And North Light Gallery, where Maine's landscapes and stories come alive through the eyes of its finest artists.
They say that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Well, they are correct.
Grab any size iced coffee for $1.29 and pair it with a bagel sandwich.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Now to the extreme weather from east to west and from north to south. We're seeing everything from record heat and wildfires as far north as Minnesota to flash floods in Maryland, where the governor is urging people to stay off the roads. ABC's Andrew Dimbert has the details.
Up to 5 inches of rain fell in just a matter of hours in western Maryland, submerging entire communities.
A certain part of Main Street, there was probably 1.5 feet
2 foot of water at one spot by the library.
Rescue boats evacuating an elementary school in Allegheny County. Floodwaters approaching the second floor. 150 students and 50 adults taken to a nearby church.
It was chaos everywhere. Everyone trying to panic and get their kid.
The storm's expanding along the East Coast, bringing rain to the New York City area today. Meanwhile, an early season heat wave is bearing down on other parts of the country. San Antonio, Texas could see 103 degrees for 3 straight days. Austin could hit a record 107 today. Even far northern Minnesota has seen temps in the 90s. The hot, dry conditions fueling 3 major wildfires in the state, up to 150 buildings now destroyed.
We put every nail in that house. We painted every wall. We did it from the ground up, and just to know it might be gone is so scary.
In the southwest, heavy wind fueling this massive fire in Albuquerque, spreading from those pallets to multiple buildings. A wildfire in neighboring Arizona also forcing evacuations. And in Southern California, new fallout from the devastating Los Angeles wildfires in January. Homeowners bracing for higher insurance rates. State Farm has now been approved for an emergency 17% rate hike. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
Wow, kind of puts things in perspective, and I've just been complaining about it raining on the weekends, which is valid, and it looks like we have more rain coming up on Saturday. I'm sorry. Let's get a look at that forecast with Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, Emma, thank you very much. Wave heights are nice and quiet out there this morning. Pretty much a good part of the region at around 1 to 2 foot wave heights. So, of course, no advisories along the coast this morning. Water temperatures are still rather cool, but slowly but surely climbing in the upper 40s to lower 50s at this time. On land, it's rather quiet, maybe a few clouds further off towards the north, but for us, a lot of sunshine on the way for us today. Now, there is some precipitation further down toward the south. We will be watching for precipitation for us coming up later on this week, but today and tomorrow, dry days for us. Futurecast moving forward. A lot of sunshine on the way for us today. Get outside and enjoy it. A little breezy outside for us today as well. Coming up later on tonight, here's what we got. Some more clouds on the way for us. Areas of dense fog will also be a possibility. And then throughout the daytime tomorrow, mostly cloudy. I don't think we'll see any rainfall. I do believe we'll stay dry throughout the daytime period on Thursday. Thursday night, still looking dry, some clouds and fog a possibility. And then by Friday, we may have to watch for rainfall by that point. But then today, here we are. We got gusty winds reaching up to about 20 to 25 miles per hour at times. It will gradually back off later on tonight. Maybe some more gusty winds throughout the daytime tomorrow, at times up to 20 miles per hour, and then starting to gradually ease up a bit by that point later on. But overall, low temperatures, at least so far, not too bad. A few spots in the 40s and 50s. We'll have more updates triggering in as we head throughout the morning. So I'll have another update as we head towards the noon time frame. But overall, our average high temperature is 65 degrees. We'll do 70s today, tomorrow, and also near Friday. Cooling off Saturday all the way through at least Tuesday into the 50s and even 60s. So overall for today, mid-70s, mostly sunny and breezy, and that south wind getting up to about 25 miles per hour. Tonight, low 50s, partly cloudy, areas of dense fog, southwest wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow, low 70s, mostly cloudy, south wind at about 5 miles per hour and even up to 10 miles per hour at times. Already, your extended forecast, showers and thunderstorms possible for your Friday with highs in the lower 70s, lower 60s for your Saturday with a chance for rain showers and thunderstorms again for your Sunday with highs in the mid-60s.
Hatch Body Works, located in Milford, is Eastern and Central Maine's go-to for all things automotive. From tire mount and balance to precision alignments and expert fabrication, Hatch Body Works does it all with precision and care. Hatch Body Works, automotive service you can trust.
America relies on clean, renewable energy. It powers everything, from families to small businesses, from farmers to factories. Clean energy fuels lives and livelihoods. And clean energy tax credits make it happen. They create hundreds of thousands of good-paying jobs across the country, and they lower our energy costs. With clean energy tax credits, the age of American energy independence is here. Call Senator Collins and encourage her to support the clean energy tax credits that power America.
A third row that feels like first class. How it should be. The Hyundai Palisade.
Lease a Hyundai Palisade for $369 a month for 36 months, or get 3.99% APR for 60 months. Hurry in.
Come stop by Triple S Tack Shop, 315 Hamden Road, Carmel, for quality clothing and equestrian gear.
Hatch Body Works, located in Milford, is Eastern and Central Maine's go-to for all things automotive. From tire mount and balance to precision alignments and expert fabrication, Hatch Body Works does it all with precision and care. Hatch Body Works, automotive service you can trust.
Now to Georgia and the mistaken traffic stop that's led to one family's nightmare. Here's ABC's Rihanna Nally.
What started as a mistaken traffic stop,
I'm going to search you,
may end with the deportation of a 19-year-old in the U.S. since she was 4 years old. Police in Dalton, Georgia are seen here this month pulling over Jimena Arias Cristobal for making an illegal turn. The college student was taken into custody and later transferred to an immigration detention facility. But now officers admit that traffic stop was a mistake. They pulled over the wrong truck.
We were all just blindsided.
That traffic stop may have been a mistake, but Jimena remains in ICE custody. Her family spoke to our affiliate WFVX, saying they came to the U.S. from Mexico in 2010.
I've been helping her out because she doesn't know English, and it's just a lot of weight on us both.
Local Republican State Rep Casey Carpenter responding, saying the conversation has always been that we need to get hard criminals out of the country. Unfortunately, the people that aren't hard criminals are getting caught up in the wash. But local Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene saying she was driving illegally without a license and has no legal basis to remain in the United States. Jimena's father is also in ICE custody after being pulled over for speeding. The family claims he tried to legalize his status by getting a work visa. Her supporters note for people like Jimena, there are few ways to become a citizen.
It's impossible. There is not a pathway for someone that is in America right now towards citizenship unless they get married. Or they have a child and the child grows up and the child's 18, then they can petition for their parents. But as far as an individual that's, between the ages of 4 and 25, there's no pathway.
Homeland Security officials say the family should self-deport and take the free flight and $1,000 the government is offering to people in the country illegally. Rhiannon Alley, ABC News, New York.
Police arrested more than 24 people after activists protesting cuts to Medicaid interrupted the House Energy and Commerce Committee as it began consideration of legislation to change the program. Dozens of protesters, many in wheelchairs, filled the halls in the Rayburn House Office building on Tuesday afternoon, chanting, "No cuts to Medicaid." 26 protesters were arrested by Capitol Police after multiple warnings. The protest comes as Democrats are trying to counter the House GOP's bill, released on Sunday, that would impose large cuts to Medicaid and other welfare programs. Inside the House committee meeting, the panel taking up legislation that would make significant changes to Medicaid, which the Congressional Budget Office said in a partial estimate would lead to 10.3 million people losing coverage under the Health Safety Net program and 7.6 million people going uninsured. President Trump is in Qatar today, his second stop on a 4-day trip to the Middle East. Yesterday, the Saudi Crown Prince gave the president the royal treatment. There, Trump announced an end to the sanctions against Syria. ABC's Christian Cordero has the details from Washington.
Today, President Trump heads to his second of 3 Gulf states, arriving in Qatar this morning and leaving Saudi Arabia, where he heaped praise on Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the man U.S. intelligence concluded orchestrated the murder of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi in 2018. Trump instead focusing on the region's economic prosperity and announcing at the Crown Prince's request he will lift U.S. sanctions on Syria.
Oh, what I do for the Crown Prince.
The sanctions were put in place during the Assad regime that has since crumbled, its new government now in power for the past 6 months.
There's a humanitarian reason to want the sanctions to be lifted, which is that the people of Syria have suffered under the sanctions. The United States should be cautious too, because you don't want to go whole hog in and invest in any particular regime.
Trump meeting with Syria's new president today before heading to his next stop. Hanging over the president's entire Middle East visit, questions about the Trump family's business interests. Sons Don Jr. and Eric Trump now run the Trump Organization and have projects in the works in all 3 countries the president is visiting this week. His visit to Qatar also under scrutiny after its royal family offered that $400 million luxury jet, which Trump wants to use as Air Force One. His plan received swift backlash from Democrats and some Republicans, but Trump is still defending it.
We give a lot of gifts. We give too many gifts, to be honest with you. But I thought it was a beautiful gesture.
This comes as the president bashes Boeing for delays in production for new Air Force One jets. Trump asserted Qatar heard about those delays and offered to help. Christian Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
Coming up on the second half of the newscast, a special book has been created to document the rich history of Waterville's fire department. We'll hear how it all took shape as Good Morning Maine continues.
Commercial vehicles can be dangerous, and they usually carry big insurance policies. So whether you're hurt by a landscaping truck like this, a work van like this, or a big rig like this, we know commercial vehicle accidents, and we know how to get you the big money you may deserve. If any commercial vehicle hurts you, call the Twos. We win for you.
Hurt by a commercial vehicle? Call the Twos. We win for you. Call 222-2222.
Irresistibly smooth chocolate to put the world on pause. Lindor, made to melt you by the Lindt Master Chocolatier.
When Patriot Waste Disposal wants to know the local forecast, they log on to foxbangor.com. Patriot Waste Disposal provides dumpster rental services to eastern and central Maine. Whether you're looking to do a little spring cleaning or are tackling a commercial project, Patriot Waste Disposal has you covered.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
Today is Wednesday, May 14th, 2025. Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith, and today is also International Chihuahua Appreciation Day. It's a very important holiday. If you did not wake up this morning knowing that it's International Chihuahua Appreciation Day, well, darn it, you do now. You're welcome. Humans have had pet dogs for thousands of years, and dogs are believed to be the first animals to be kept as pets. Of course, Chihuahuas look a lot different than wolves and the original pet dogs because of evolution and breeding and things like that. You'd be shocked if you were to be transported here from another universe to look at that fuzzy, cute little guy right there and to find out that, oh, that came from a wolf? No way, no way. Well, just wait to see how they interact with other dogs, and then maybe you would be convinced. This is a day to celebrate the smallest breed of dog in the world. Chihuahuas are named after the Mexican state of Chihuahua, and they usually grow between 3 and 6 pounds. They were quite rare until the early 20th century and were first registered by the American Kennel Association in 1904. I love them. I absolutely love them. They can be awful. They can be nightmarish, but I love Chihuahuas. As you can tell, there were strange holidays today. Not very much to pick from. Okay, now let's learn about some things that happened on this day in history. On this day in 1787, delegates began to gather in Philadelphia to draw up the U.S. Constitution. In 1804, the Lewis and Clark expedition began near Hartford, Illinois. Their mission was to explore the Louisiana Territory and the Pacific Northwest. In 1918, Washington, D.C. lifted a ban on Sunday baseball, becoming the third city to do so. In 1948, the independent state of Israel was proclaimed in Tel Aviv by David Ben-Gurion, who became the first Israeli prime minister. In 1973, the U.S. launched its first space station into orbit. Skylab was a complex space station that allowed research in life sciences and the effects being in space has on humans. It was damaged during the deployment stage, but Skylab was used in orbit until 1979, when it was allowed to burn up in Earth's atmosphere. In 1998, the final episode of the TV series Seinfeld aired after 9 years on the air. And in 1987, Stars and Stripes Forever was designated as the official march of the United States. Today's birthdays include actress Cate Blanchett, she's 56 years old today. Director George Lucas from Star Wars fame is 81. And Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg is 41 years old today. Of course, now we call it Meta. It's changed quite a bit since he founded that company. But yeah, everything is evolving. All right, happy birthday to them, and happy birthday to you too if it's your birthday. Now let's get a look at that beautiful sunny forecast.
Hey, Emma, thank you very much. A nice quiet start this morning, and we'll stay quiet today with a good amount of sunshine, so get outside and enjoy things. There's a little bit of energy off toward the north that will not give us any issues. Some more energy off toward the south and west that will also not give us any issues. We will have some precipitation moving in later on this week, but in the short term, a lot of sunshine on the way for us throughout the daytime period today. Maybe some clouds, and yes, a little bit of fog on the way for us coming up later on tonight. Maybe some gusty winds today as well, reaching up to about 20 miles per hour at times today. Calming down gradually later on tonight and looking pretty good for tomorrow. Maybe a few gusts getting up to 20 miles per hour at times. So overall for today, mid-70s. Actually pretty nice, mostly sunny. A little breezy out there, and that south wind, maybe a few areas getting up to about 25 miles per hour at times. Later on tonight, partly cloudy, some areas of dense fog with lows in the low 50s and a southwest wind backing off to about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then for tomorrow, lower 70s under a mostly cloudy sky and that south wind getting up to about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Your hourly forecast for the rest of the morning and afternoon period, absolutely beautiful with a lot of sunshine, temperatures warming into the 70s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Emma?
Wow, it's gonna feel like summer midday. You'll need sunscreen if you're working outside today. Okay, thank you, Devin, for that report. In other news, the history of the Waterville Fire Department goes back centuries, of course. The department was formed in 1809, and since then, the water supply, the fighting equipment, the physical location of the department have all changed. Now, Waterville residents and others can enjoy reading about those details in a new book created by one of the department's former captains. Our Jody Hersey has the story.
The Waterville Fire Department has changed over the years. Its equipment, its manpower, and many other aspects have improved dramatically, according to Scott Holst, a former fire captain who spent 29 years of his life with the department.
It's a hard business, but back then it was grueling for those guys.
Holst spent 2 decades gathering information on the department from past firefighters, newspapers, and research he conducted at Colby College for a new book called History of the Waterville Fire Department.
And the book does not contain any fire calls or any related emergencies like that. It's just the history of the department itself, its people, the horses, the apparatus, even the pets that used to live here inside Central.
He found so many interesting stories and photos of the department since its creation back in 1809 to present day that he was able to fill 522 pages.
I even gone back into the Boston newspapers to find out, but these horses here, Major and Colonel, because they were well known to whenever the bell started ringing, they just, if they were in their stall, they'd come out of their stall, get right in front of the hose wagon and get ready to be harnessed right up.
The book, which costs $50, is available at both Bull Moose and Oliver and Friends Bookshop in Waterville, as well as at the fire station. A portion of the proceeds will go towards the Firemen's Memorial right outside of the station.
I'm hoping that the people will take it and read it from cover to cover, because they'll learn some stuff, some interesting stuff, some funny stuff. But I figured down the road people are going to use it more for our reference.
In Waterville, I'm Jody Hersey for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
That individuals are dedicated to meticulous work like that, because there will be somebody that needs to know specific information from a certain time. And thanks to that writer, it's all right in one place. So it's so important to document history. Good work on him. All right, right after the break, we'll hear from Tyler Cruz on sports updates. Plus, we'll check out what's going on at a local wildlife refuge. We'll be right back.
We can go into a room and have absolutely nothing in there, nothing on the windows, no color, no character, no tone to a room.
That's, I think, where we're strongest, is being able to help someone envision what's going to go in that window.
And we leave, it's totally transformed into something that the customer wants it to be. We've often been told we make a room look better just by leaving it.
Fires, floods, burst pipes. Disasters happen, but the mess they leave behind doesn't have to last. For 40 years, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration has been there to help Mainers get back to the closest to normal as they can. When your property is at its worst, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration is at their best, and they have been for 4 decades. Put your trust in the Bouchard team. Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration. You keep the memories, we'll handle the rest.
I'm Jim with Lowry & Associates. A husband and wife called me after they were hit by a drunk driver. They were both seriously injured, they couldn't work, and they were worried about their medical bills. We put 2 former prosecutors on the case and got them the justice they deserved. A $400,000 settlement they were able to use for their retirement. If you've been hurt by a drunk driver, call me. I'm your go-to guy.
Hurt by a drunk driver? Call the Twos.
Next Level dog people give their dogs next level protection with NexGard Plus. One and done monthly parasite protection against fleas, ticks, heartworm disease, roundworms, and hookworms. Used with caution in dogs with a history of seizures or neurologic disorders. Get next level protection with NexGard Plus.
Ghirardelli Intense Dark. Bold. Rich. Intensely delicious dark chocolate. Ghirardelli Intense Dark. Makes life a bite better.
We are green.
Welcome back in, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. The news everyone feared has come true in the midst of another blown lead against the Knicks. In round 2 of the NBA playoffs, Celtics star Jason Tatum went down, and the outcome probably was the worst-case scenario. The Celtics announcing on Tuesday that Jason Tatum underwent surgery earlier in the day to repair a ruptured Achilles. That's the term they used for the injury he suffered in Monday's loss. He will not return this series or this season, and now even next season is in doubt. Achilles injuries typically come with longer recovery times. Tatum had a master performance too before going down. 42 points with 8 rebounds and 6 assists. And it was a somber scene when the C's met with media members after the game.
You know, we're in a hole, and we got to get back to Boston, and we got to figure out a way to win. So
we got to get ready for Game 5. So we'll take the night and pick our heads up tomorrow and put together a game plan to come out on our own floor to keep this series alive.
Tatum has missed back-to-back games just 4 times in his entire career. The Celtics and Knicks play Game 5 Wednesday at 7. Bringing it back local now, the Husson softball team punching their ticket to yet another NCAA tournament over the weekend. On Sunday, the Eagles beat the host team, SUNY Cobleskill, by a score of 8-0 to capture their 7th straight North Atlantic Conference title, which also automatically qualifies them for their 7th straight NCAA tournament, where Husson Dawson will travel to Minnesota to take on number 11 St. Mary's, which means it's been a career full of championships for this year's seniors as they've helped the Eagles establish themselves as a Division III softball powerhouse.
Absolutely. It's a winning culture. Everyone wants to win. Everyone's willing to put in the work to win. They know what they need to do to get there, and it's really great just to be here and be in that culture.
I mean, we have the most spectacular people around here. We have the most dedicated fans. We have people driving to New York. We have people going to Minnesota this week. So just knowing they're there for us, we're all there for each other, I think makes it just that much more special. And then these group of girls, they'll have my back no matter what. And that's how it is for everyone here.
The seniors say the culture has been set since they stepped foot on campus as freshmen, and it was just their job to continue it.
Yeah, I came in and it was a already built program, so to come right into that and you have these expectations and we're expected to win these games, so that was definitely coming in. You had to learn that pretty quick, and practices are intense, games are intense, and you just gotta get that role and go with it.
Wishing them luck. Staying with some softball now. Up to Old Town we go for a rivalry match between the Coyotes and Orono Red Riots. Beautiful day to be on the diamond. Crosstown rivalry coming to the home of the Coyotes. First inning, Old Town up, runners in scoring position, but Jillian Severance gets the K to get out of the jam. To the second now, no problem for Haley Soroyce in the circle. She strikes out the side to set down the Riots in order. To the bottom of the frame we go now. Natalie Fournier at the dish for Old Town, and she smacks this one deep to center. That's going to go off the wall, and she hustles into third with a triple she would later score. 3-0 now later in the game, and Ava Braslett is up with Brooklyn Rand on third. She lines one into center. That run comes in, and Old Town goes on to win it 8-0. To the baseball diamond now, Coyotes and Riots going at it right across the way at Old Town High. Second inning, Old Town up one with the bases loaded. Jack Brewer gets the fly out to shallow center, and Kason Bagley makes a great play and then spins and fires to the plate to keep the man at third and keep the game 1-0. And Brewer would get out of the jam as well. Next batter, the backwards K to end the frame and strand all three runners. Next inning, Alex McCannell working on the hill. He's going to get a looking strikeout of his own. Riots will have it second and third this inning, though. A little rally, 2 outs, and Andrew Barrett rips one to right field, but Parker Day snags the liner to end the frame. Next inning, we missed the contact, but that is Nate Baker getting all of this one deep to right and gone. That is a solo shot to put Old Town up 2-0, and the Coyotes go on to win it 8-1. To the Winkin Sports Complex now for some more high school ball. Ellsworth Eagles in Bangor taking on John Bapst. Pitcher starting hot in this one. Aiden Willett on the mound for Bapst. He gets the early strikeout. Next frame, nice move to first here from Dawson Curtis. Smooth throw from Jackson Barry, and that retires the side. Still scoreless now, third inning. Eagles have a man on third. Try to sneak a bunt in there with 2 outs, and the Crusaders do their job. Nice flip. They get the out to retire the side. Top 4 now, Curtis at the dish. He lifts it to left. Zach Babcock is under it. He has it. Kyle Kenny is tagging from second to third. And look at this. The ball is going to come free on the tag, and he trots on home. That is the game's first run, and Ellsworth played 6 in the final frame to win it 7-0. For some other scores from around the area, Herman Baseball takes down MDI 5-2. Bucksport Softball beats Mattanocook 4-0. In girls lacrosse, Winslow Lawrence takes down MCI Nokomis 8-7. And Camden Hills Boys Lacrosse takes down Winslow 13-8. All right, that is all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Maine's premier community radio station, Star 97.7. Locally owned and operated for over 20 years with Paul and Sonny in the morning, Mike Dow in the afternoon, and local weather with Steve McKay. Star 97.7.
American-Made Home Goods, a locally owned gift shop offering only American-made items. Manufactured right here in the USA. At AMHG Works, we have books written by Maine authors, jewelry, wall decor, puzzles, and many other Maine-themed items. Plus, a great selection of dog toys, treats, and accessories. Come check out everything we have to offer. We look forward to seeing you.
Jamar Construction Products in Bangor continues to grow to meet our customers' needs, supplying products for site work contractors, concrete contractors, and survey and safety supplies. We are proud to be the local dealer for Hilti, Valley Blades, U.S. Fabrics, and Euclid Chemical, plus so much more. Stop by and see us at 1270 Hammond Street or give us a call at 907-4491. If you dig it, pour it, plow it, fasten it, lay it, or lift it, Jamar Construction Products can help you.
I'm John Walsh, and this is America's Most Wanted.
For over 35 years, he's fought for justice.
I know what it's like to look for a missing child.
1,100 episodes and almost 1,200 fugitives arrested.
Thank you. God bless you.
Now, count down the most memorable captures of the iconic series.
What I like to call my dirty dozen.
A very dangerous person. He's just stone cold.
I love catching the bad guys.
John Walsh's Dirty Dozen, tonight on Fox.
Maine's premier community radio station, Star 97.7. Locally owned and operated for over 20 years with Paul and Sonny in the morning, Mike Dow in the afternoon, and local weather with Steve McKay. Star 97.7.
Hi, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Brianna Guy. I am the program director of Harindo Wildlife Refuge. If you don't know Harindo, we are a wildlife refuge in Old Town, 2,400 acres of land, lots of wildlife, free trails, hiking, 7 miles of trails, and we're also right along Pushaw Stream. So I kind of wanted to share about Pushaw Stream a little bit today, and specifically I wanted to share my experience paddling Pushaw Stream. So if you don't know, we offer free canoe and kayak rentals every Saturday until the end of the paddle season, which is probably going to be in about October. So now until October, you have an opportunity to come out and try this out yourself. But I thought I'd give a sneak peek of what that might look like. If you rent a canoe or kayak from us on our free Saturdays, there will be someone here from Harindo to hand you all of your equipment and materials. But since I am the person that's doing that, I'm going to hand myself my equipment and materials. So I'm going to need to grab a PFD, a paddle, and obviously some sort of boat to use. We have lots of canoes and kayaks to choose from. So if you're going by yourself, you can take a kayak. If you're going with a friend, you can take a canoe or even one of our double kayaks. I have all of my gear ready to go, so I've brought it over to our boat launch area, which you can see is pretty convenient because it's almost got little steps going down. Right now the water's pretty high, so you only see a few of those steps. But yeah, let's get going. Here's that boat launch and what that looks like if you are looking at it from the river. I did not record myself paddling out since I wanted to get out of the bugs pretty quickly, but now they're totally gone. So once you're out on the water, it's really the perfect space to enjoy this weather without being bothered too much by the bugs. It looks like I'm coming up onto one of the many beaver lodges along Pushaw Stream, so I'll see if I can get a closer look. You can really see the work that they put into collecting all of these materials and putting them together. You can even see their little teeth marks on the different branches. Something fun to look for while you're out here paddling is these silver maple floodplains. So Harindo has a lot of these silver maple floodplains where the trees are actually submerged underwater for a lot of the year, especially in early spring when we have all that snow melt. And what is cool about that is that you can actually get in here and paddle between the trees, and it feels like you're paddling in the forest, which is super cool. Well, my phone is dying, but the sun is still up, so I think I'm still gonna go and enjoy a little bit more paddling, but I will have to leave you behind. I hope you enjoyed this sneak peek of paddling on Pushaw Pond at Harindo. If you are looking to come out here and do this yourself, definitely check us out at harindomaine.org, or you can find us on Facebook at Harindo Wildlife Refuge or on Instagram at Harindo Wildlife. I hope you have a great time paddling this summer, and I hope you paddle with us.
And that was Brianna Guy reporting from the Harindo Wildlife Refuge on things going on over there this month. All right, now let's get a look at that forecast with Devin Biggs.
All righty, Emma, thank you very much. Wave heights are nice and quiet out there this morning. Pretty much a good part of the region at around 1 to 2 foot wave heights. So, of course, no advisories along the coast this morning. Water temperatures are still rather cool, but slowly but surely climbing in the upper 40s to lower 50s at this time. On land, it's rather quiet, maybe a few clouds further off towards the north, but for us, a lot of sunshine on the way for us today. Now, there is some precipitation further down toward the south. We will be watching for precipitation for us coming up later on this week, but today and tomorrow, dry days for us. Futurecast moving forward. A lot of sunshine on the way for us today. Get outside and enjoy it. A little breezy outside for us today as well. Coming up later on tonight, here's what we got. Some more clouds on the way for us. Areas of dense fog will also be a possibility. And then throughout the daytime tomorrow, mostly cloudy. I don't think we'll see any rainfall. I do believe we'll stay dry throughout the daytime period on Thursday. Thursday night, still looking dry, some clouds and fog a possibility. And then by Friday, we may have to watch for rainfall by that point. But then today, here we are. We got gusty winds reaching up to about 20 to 25 miles per hour at times. It will gradually back off later on tonight. Maybe some more gusty winds throughout the daytime tomorrow, at times up to 20 miles per hour, and then starting to gradually ease up a bit by that point later on. But overall, low temperatures, at least so far, not too bad. A few spots in the 40s and 50s. We'll have more updates triggering in as we head throughout the morning. So I'll have another update as we head towards the noon time frame. But overall, our average high temperature is 65 degrees. We'll do 70s today, tomorrow, and also near Friday. Cooling off Saturday all the way through at least Tuesday into the 50s and even 60s. So overall for today, mid 70s, mostly sunny and breezy, and that south wind getting up to about 25 miles per hour. Tonight, low 50s, partly cloudy, areas of dense fog, southwest wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow, low 70s, mostly cloudy, south wind at about 5 miles per hour and even up to 10 miles per hour at times. Already, your extended forecast, showers and thunderstorms possible for your Friday with highs in the lower 70s, lower 60s for your Saturday with a chance for rain showers, and thunderstorms again for your Sunday with highs in the mid 60s.
For the best LiftMaster openers at real prices, call PDQ Door first. Hi, I'm Dave from PDQ Door. For emergency service, routine maintenance, and tune-ups, make PDQ Door your first call. Learn more at pdqdoor.com, where we sell the best and service the rest.
You will always remember your first time riding a bike, your first day of high school. Maybe you felt a little nervous. Your first time doing something can be difficult, but getting an auto loan isn't, with KSW FCU and our first-time auto buyer program. So come sit down with us and let us help you get down the road of life. Sit down with our friendly staff. Come visit us in Waterville or Belfast, or start your online application at kswfcu.org.
Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
It's Saturday night. You could watch a game, or you could go out, make some memories. But people make bad choices on a Saturday night. Blind dates, shouting what over bad music and get bumped by some guy named Chad. Or you could be at home. No bad choices, no regretful texts, just high-stakes baseball with Joe Davis and Smoltz giving the play-by-play like a bedtime story for grown-ups. If it's Saturday night, it's baseball night in America. Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern on Fox.
Hi, I'm Dave from PDQ Door. We pride ourselves on our honesty and integrity. We'll always give you the best garage door repairs at a real price. Had your doors installed by another company? That's okay. Our experienced team is available to service all brands and models. Visit us at pdqdoor.com.
If you ever wanted to see what the weather was like in another part of the state, it's possible. LifeFlight has just completed its weather cameras project with the installation of its 35th camera. Now they're working to share those cameras with the public. LifeFlight pilots use the cameras to check current weather and runway conditions before flying to locations all across the state. The cameras are also being used to increase security at rural airports. Images from the cameras are accessible to pilots and the public on the FAA website. All right, it does look like we're out of time. If you missed anything, head to foxbangor.com, and I hope you have a great day.
Today on 25 Words or Less, he's one of those rare actors who would be thrilled if one of their projects got a 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's Colton Dunn. Only 20? And Johnny Colton, her father and child, Don and Ray.